most rewarding one, I think, was at the Atlanta shooting more than a year ago, because we were ABC News was the only network who did a full primetime hour following that shooting. And I know that wouldn't have happened were it not for the years and months of work that I had done, pre-interviewing people, doing interviews with activists, having everything sort of locked and loaded so that we could air it within 24 hours. I remember flying down there and we had booked, the son of one victim and the daughter of another victim. And I was like so angry because I was like, once again, we have to crash this to the air and, we don't have time to do it. I can't believe we have to do this in 48 hours. And I thought, actually, it isn't 48 hours. I've been working steadily towards telling this particular story for 30 years because, how many mass shootings have I been to and delicately had to speak to a family member? How many stories have I done on human trafficking and sex work and what that really means in a true sense? And the geopolitics of it and the poverty and the deprivation and the desperation surrounding it. And how many of these, stories about AAPI hate have I done? And so all of that felt like it was a true culmination. And so that was the story that I was most proud of. And we were able to really get at one of the fundamental sort of areas that is dicey, which is the hypersexualization of Asian women. And, you'll recall there was a county sheriff who came out after speaking to the shooter and saying, well, the shooter says, he has a sex addiction and he was trying to get rid of his sex addiction. So he says it wasn't about race, it was about sex. At which point Asian American activists came out very united in their opposition to that idea, right? This idea that, the shooter drove 25 plus miles past strip clubs and porn shops and other, sex work and went to 3 different Asian themed spas and conflated any Asian woman in there as a sex worker. And that is racialized at the very least, according to so many of the experts that I spoke to. So it was a galvanizing moment in the Asian American community. I interviewed 2 victims' children. One was a Chinese woman, immigrant, and she told the story about her mother who'd come here with nothing from a rural province in China, who had worked, after hours to get a massage license, scraped together pennies, worked 6 days a week, ate from the rice maker in the back so she could save even more money so she could open her own spa. And she had signs in every room that said no sex, no, hanky-panky. And all of her friends said anytime anybody asked for that kind of stuff, they called the police. And she was very, very angry, right, about that conflation. Now, the flip side of it is I interviewed a young man whose mother worked in a different spa. And his name is Randy Park. And he said to me, and he said, I was told when I was growing up that my mom worked in a beauty salon. But when I got older, I understood that it was shady. That was the words that he used. And he went and confronted his mother. And I asked him what that conversation was like. And he said, would you tell your son if you worked in a, spa like that? And of course, he's like about the age of my son. And I literally stopped short and I knew what I would say, but I told him I'm a journalist. And so I said to him, that's a really good question. And he went on to say, I told my mother, let's not tell my little brother. He said, but I want you to be safe. I don't like that you lied to me. And in closing, in the same conversation, this 21-year-old young man said to his mother, I will never shame you for the decisions that you made, because I know how hard you worked to make sure that me and my brother as a single mom were okay.